Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Just going to give a couple of minutes for other folks to kind of chime in, to join us. I guess for folks that are already joining us now, it'd be great if you could, pop in the chat box where you're joining us from, your name, of course, and where you're joining us from. So we'll just give a couple minutes just for people to kind of trickle in, and then I'll start with today's conversation. All right, I am already starting to see folks putting into the chat box. Welcome again. Welcome everyone who's joining us. Please let us know via chat box where you're joining us from. I got some of my folks from Florida. Hey, hey John, I see you from Iowa. The Miami Friends meeting is present. Thank you again for joining us. I give about one more minute for folks to join us, to hop online, to pop in the chat box where you're joining us from. It's always great to know uh, where folks are at. Thank you all for those comments. Yeah, and again, for those that are joining us, welcome. Say hi in the chat box, and we'll start in about one more minute. Hey, I see Brian tuning in from Baltimore. Welcome. Welcome, Tessa from Connecticut. Hey there. Thanks for joining us. All right, y'all. So again, thank you and welcome, and thanks for joining us today. Today, it'd be great again just to hear where folks are joining us from. Just if you want to drop a quick hi and hello, please use the chat box freely for that. And we'll start. So hello there again. My name is Guadalupe De La Cruz. I'm the Farm Worker Program Director for American Friends Service Committee here in Florida. Thank you all for joining us today. And I'll be talking a little bit about the work that we're holding down here in Florida, specifically in South Florida with our farm worker community. So again, we continue to know that the COVID-19 pandemic crisis continues to be present, all across the world and in the US. And we know and recognize that at one point, the state of Florida could have potentially been the next epicenter. And with that, we know that this crisis continues to affect our farm worker community. And when we publicly known and are made aware that our governor and our local politicians have not acted in a manner that really protects the safety and improves the quality of life for our farm workers, here at AFSC, we have been the ones to step in and provide that type of support for our farm worker communities. So again, I work specifically in Homestead, Florida. We are a big agriculture community. And of course, with the help of AFSC, we have been the ones that have been stepping in to support the community here. We've been striving to bring resources and information to our community, and especially following our initiative for expansive testing in South Dade, which we had partnered up with the health department to provide expansive testing to farm worker communities. And rather than having farm workers go to specific centers that were very far and out of reach, we made it easier and accessible by coming to them. So today I'm here to talk to you about our COVID outreach project that we're doing here in Homestead, Florida. So what it consists of is us going door to door, canvassing, and filling out a survey that will give us a better understanding of how farm workers have been affected by this pandemic. And all the while, we're going to be providing information and resources and PPE, such as face masks, to community members, because we know that here, a lot of our community members don't have the access to proper protective equipment here. So we recognize the challenges that farm worker communities are facing, such as language, transportation, sometimes even their income also affects them being able to buy the appropriate PPE that they need for their families or for the workplace. And so we're going to their doors to provide that, and then also giving folks the opportunity to get tested at home. So we have set up this testing system where we're going to have first responders on call to provide testing kits and testing accessibility to people at their home. So rather than having individuals go out of their way to access specific centers or access specific clinics, and we've noticed that a lot of clinics have been asking for identification, and more importantly, for it to be a state identification for them to get tested. What we're doing is getting that barrier out of the way by providing these tests with um, little need to have like these big types of documents present for folks to get tested. Um, so we are going to be going door to door canvassing, like I mentioned before, giving folks that opportunity to talk to other community members about the resources that are available in the community, and then setting up appointments the same day for first responders to come in to get tested for COVID. Um, so for folks that don't know a lot about the Homestead community, like I mentioned, we are a big agriculture community, and we have a lot of farm workers and plant nursery workers who are living here. And we know that throughout this pandemic, there has been little resources coming to these families. So what we have been doing is providing mutual aid assistance through cash assistance cards that we've been able to give out to community. We've been able to do a number of food drives and get food to farm workers, specifically because we know that during this, like, farm workers are facing the most disparities and food insecurities. So what we have been doing is the work that our government, our politicians, our representatives continue to fail us. So this is the moment where community continues to step in to support community, and definitely just highlighting the fact that we're making that we're making those challenges and barriers that farm worker communities face every day less and less, so that we continue to have expansive testing, we continue to have protective equipment provided to our communities, and we continue to show the support and the love that our community needs during this pandemic crisis. Yeah, and definitely, if there are any questions or comments or anything that you all like to say, definitely just pop that into the chat box, and it'd be great to hear what folks are thinking and what folks are doing also in their own communities when it comes to farm workers, and how they're showing support. But um, this is definitely an initiative that comes from the Florida AFSC team, to continue to provide mutual aid, to create these opportunities to get testing to our very vulnerable communities, especially given that Homestead is half urban and half farm worker, farm rural community. So despite the many challenges that people are facing, we want to make it so much accessible for people to get tested, to get resources, and to get help and support here. Um, and then just going back to a little bit about Homestead, like I had mentioned, Homestead is a rural farm worker community. Um, and we have seen that many people during this time have been facing a lot of job insecurities, have had a lot of um, trouble with, with bosses and other supervisors in their workplace to provide PPE, and also give opportunities to get tested. So why not make this this effort much easier for people and go to their homes, and of course practicing every recommendation for safety, and following every safety protocol with our canvassers. We are going to be making this initiative and this effort um, as safe as possible for people during this time, and recognizing that our state of Florida continues to reopen just like many other states. So we want to provide these expensive testing for individuals, even though a lot of folks don't feel that they need it or are not showing any symptoms. We still want to have that opportunity and that option for people to get tested, so that they know that when they're going to their workplace or they're going back to school or they're sending their children back to school, or entering any you know grocery store, even, that people are getting tested, and if they are COVID positive, are having the support that they need to stay home and self quarantine during this time. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to read through a couple of the comments from the chat box, and again, feel free to chime in and even if you want to also just let us know where you're joining us from, that's also great to know. Um, I see some folks from Albuquerque. Hello, welcome. Thank you from Uganda. Hey, thanks for joining us. From Indiana. Hello, welcome. And yes, thank you. We continue to do a lot of good work here. So I'm not too sure what's being done. There was a comment here from Tara. Is there, uh, do you know of anything being done to redirect wasted foods from closed cafeterias to needed communities? So I'm not too sure why. I'm not too sure if there's any initiatives being done to redirect food from those types of cafeterias. But that's something that we can also just keep in mind, especially when we are trying to get food to our most needed communities. And then there's another comment. Why do you think the Florida government does not support farm workers even though they are essential? I'm not sure why they don't. This is a population and a community that is very much contributing to a large economic system of our country. They are the backbones of of feeding America and feeding, and not just farm workers in the U.S., but farm workers all around that are the ones that are feeding people. And I don't know why farm workers continue to be dubbed with this name of essential workers and are not treated as so. And also, as AFSC, we continue to push policies um, and hold politicians accountable to protecting our farm workers, because they are very viable and they are very important to us. But yes, I'm not sure, but it's something that we continue to make that farm workers need broader protections, need more support and resources to come to the community. So we definitely hold our governor, our government accountable for that, and continue to push for policies that protect and give dignity um, to our farm workers during this time of pandemic. So there's another comment from Latina Comunica. I'm very interested in the COVID-19 home testing. That is amazing. How is that going to work? So, like I mentioned, our canvassers are going to go door by door in our homestead area. They are going to initially fill out a survey and ask a couple of questions for folks, and then ask the specific question if they'd be willing to take an at-home test, not just for themselves, but for their families. Um, and if they are to agree, what we do is we call a direct number to our first responders that are going to be on call. And the first responders will then come back to that home identified and do the testing at their home. So instead of them having to go to another place or a clinic, the first responders will come directly to the home and do the swab testing for the families, and then take it back to the lab. And then what the family will then get is the results after the amount of time that passes, which is usually takes about 3 to 7 days for folks to get back the results from the testing that our first responders are doing to the community members. So what's great about that is that, many people don't count on transportation, and have to rely on raiteros or rides from other community members. So rather than putting them in other situations of possible exposure, we are working with first responders so that they take all the safety precautions and measures needed to come to a home and get people tested during this time. Yeah, and then just highlighting the fact that these tests are completely free to the community. We encourage not just the individual that we're making contact with to get tested, but we're encouraging for all of the members in the household to get tested for COVID, and get their results back. And then after the results, of course, we are not just getting them tested, but we're also providing resources. We're providing connections for other types of resources, other food banks that are in the community, other food drives that are going on, ways to get mutual aid support with cash assistance, so that they are able to either quarantine at home or stay home, or buy the necessary items that they need for themselves and for their families during this time. And yeah, you know, th- I just want to continue to highlight that, these are initiatives and these are efforts that are coming from, not just from our AFSC Florida team, from community members, because we continue to see the lack of presence of our government. We continue to see politicians washing their hands uh, of uh, of protecting our farm workers. So we continue to highlight the importance of farm workers, not just here in the state of Florida, but all across the U.S. We continue to push for policies that protect and improve the quality of life of our farm workers. And we continue to support and step in when government doesn't and fails us time and time again. So this initiative is something that is very much needed during this COVID-19 pandemic. Our families are facing many challenges during this time. So we continue to stay present in our community. We continue to stay supporting and helping in any which way. And there is one way that folks can continue to, follow us and get to know more of the work that we're doing, or volunteer for our food drives that we do on a monthly basis. You can always visit us at our AFSC Miami, Florida office, and the link to our webpage is also going to be put in the chat box, and that's definitely the best way for folks to reach us, to support the work that we're doing, and support a lot of the mutual aid cash assistance that we are providing to our families. So please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a one-on-one with folks, or if folks want to get to know the work that we're doing every day, please just visit our afsc.org/office/Miami, Florida, and get to know not just the colleagues that are working here in Florida, but the work that's really being held down here. So if there aren't any other questions or comments, I'm still very grateful that folks were able to join us during this time. I'm going to check the chat box one more time and see if folks have added anything else. Again, just saying hi to Grace from London. Thank you from Mustino Times. And again, if you want to support our work or get involved, visit us at afsc.org/Miami, Florida office. So again, I'm Guadalupe De La Cruz, Farm Worker Program Director here in the state of Florida. And thank you all. Saludos to folks in California and to Pennsylvania. Thank you all.